Aye.
Désirez-vous que j'effectue la lecture des consignes en anglais ou en français? Anglais. Each team has 20 minutes to present its case to the judges. I will show the board for the 10, 5, last 2 minutes and the last 30 seconds of the presentation. During the 10 last seconds of the speech, I will indicate by means of my two hands the number of the remaining syllables. A team not ending its presentation after 20 minutes will be stopped to move on the period of questions. Excuse me. A period of questions of maximum duration of 5 minutes is assigned to the jury at the end of the presentation. I would like to remind to each judge that it's mandatory to ask at least one question during this period. I will invite the judge to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Lucy. I'm the Director of Talent Management and Training for Metro.
Louis-Philippe Toupin. I'm a Regional Director for Investors Group in Brassard.
François-Louis XVI, Region Director, Investors Group, Montréal, Descaries, Boisbriand.
David Cloutier, Investors Group, Regional Director in Quebec City.
Pierre-Olivier Cloutier, Investors Group, Laval.
People do not buy into what you do, but rather why you do it. And at Investors Group, that is something you have understood and why you continuously invest in both your people and clients. And ultimately, what we are here to do today is sustain this amid the changes that you are currently experiencing. Good afternoon, panelists, judges, and invited guests. My name is John Fragos, and I'm accompanied today by Irene Girac-Sanson and Lucas Fraser. And combined, we are Steer Consulting, because we are here to steer you in the right direction. But more specifically, we are here today to determine or propose an HR strategy that will attract and retain top talent at Investors Group Quebec amid the current restructuring that you are currently experiencing. But in order to do that, we need to look at three primary considerations today. The first being the current attrition we are seeing within your organization, predominantly with the 900 consultants that you currently have. So that's going to leave a void, which leads to our next consideration, recruitment. How are you going to fill the void within your organization with these retiring employees? And last, what are you going to do not only to attract top talent, but how are you going to retain them within your organization? Before we jump into anything, let's really look at where it is you are today, where you want to be tomorrow, but more importantly, the barriers that are in the way. So when we look at Investors Group today, we know that you're an established and respected company within Quebec and Canada, but you want to be the best and most attractive employer and really innovating continuously and attracting the top talent. Where you are is also a high-value employer, but you want to attract more top talent as you continue to grow in the future, and you have a competitive initial compensation package within the first 4 years, and we want to have one that's sustainable and will continuously support and develop your employees so that they stay within your organization. What's of interest to us here is the barriers. So one, your top employees are due to retire within the next 2 to 3 years. Your current recruitment process needs to be considered so that you can attract the top talent within your organization. And finally, the employee incentives and motivation. So what are we doing for your current employees to ensure that they stay at Investors Group? And I'll pass the floor to Irene, who will elaborate on these issues.
Investors Group, you have been doing something amazing that not all companies know how to do. You know how to properly handle change. All things moving and changing around you, you have managed to stay strong, which is really incredible. We saw this through a few different examples. First is the changes in the industry of the financial sector have been changing differently in the last few years through stronger competition and higher demand. You have done some restructuring with new roles and new tasks internally, and the new requirements for your consultants with the FPL. So you know how to properly handle and manage change really well, so it's really put you in a position for success. So with all good things, we need to know how to address a key issue of that your top talent is retiring soon, and let's see how we can make the most out of it. So we saw that 2/3 of your 900 consultants are due to retire in the next 2 to 3 years, which puts us at a 30% attrition rate. This is really important to understand because the people that are retiring know your company the best and the most. they've been there and they've invested a lot of their time and they really value your company and interest and really created the sense of community that John talked about. And lastly, they've really created a strong relationship with your client and gained incredible knowledge. So we really want to maintain a good relationship with the retires, with our new recruits, because we don't want to lose that great knowledge that they have. Now that we know that we have a lot of positions to fill, let's see what your current recruitment process looks like and see if there's any places we can improve on and enhance. So your current recruitment progress is great, but we really think you should step out the box and do what your competitors are not doing and really doing more. So we really targeted 2 strengths that we really want you to integrate and emphasize in your recruitment process versus networking. Networking. Consultants are have great people skills, and we saw that if we integrate more networking in your recruitment process, you'll be able to see who has these skills, who is actually coming out to the networking events, and really who value your company. And secondly, we have referrals. In this industry, word of mouth is really important. Now, who can we really target specifically with enhancing your recruitment process? And that is our newly educated talent. Fresh out of university, they're already educated, they want to gain more education, they want to grow, they want to succeed, they want to start in a great company. And we saw that university students really value personal growth and career development, so we really think you should really target on those key points. So you must leverage the strength as networking referrals to really enhance your recruitment process, to be really that attractive employers to beat out your competition. Now, what are you currently doing to motivate your new hires that you want to hire for and your current employees? First, we saw that 43% of your interns come back full-time afterwards. So your internship program is great and people love working at your company. Your regional directors are doing a really great job. However, there is a shift in what new employees value, and you really need to meet the needs of these new employees. First, we've identified 3 reasons, 3 criteria that what does top talent value these days. First is that career development, that sense of continuous education, the gaining of skills, continuous education, so really learning more about the knowledge, learning new skills, new roles, to really feel a sense of purpose. And lastly is this competitive compensation. So these new tactics will really help your new employees stay at your companies. So what did we just learn today, and what can we analyze to go into our recommendation? So you must maintain this great relationship with the people that are hiring to not lose the knowledge. Second, you must leverage your strength in order to enhance your recruitment process. And the new tactics of networking will really help your company stay with your company. So, why you need to take action now. So your top employees are retirement, which leaves this knowledge gap. We don't want to lose that, and it's going to be hard to fill the new positions, and we want to keep these relationships very strong. And if you do not change now, you will lose that client and industry trust that's making you great today. So how do we intend to fix these issues?
And how we intend to focus on these issues is by really focusing not on what you do, but rather why you do it. So at Investors Group, we know that you provide financial services. But what's of interest to us is why you do it. And that is because you provide a great sense of community, both for your clients and employees. And that's why we are extremely proud to present Community Investors, a 3-pronged approach that focuses on inspiring, inviting, and investing, because you are a financial company, in the future for your community, both your employees and your clients. And within the Inspire phase, you really want to inspire the top people to stay within your organization and to focus on the transition of knowledge, because they are retiring. Within the invite, we really want to invite top talent to come work for your organization because of the incentives that you will provide them. And lastly, we want to invest in your people so that they can stay at your organization in the years to come and help you achieve whatever it is that you aspire to do. So jumping into more detail, Within the Inspire phase, we really want to focus on a mentorship program between new people coming in and the current employees who are retiring, because they have a vast set of knowledge. We also want to have a speaker series with those same people so that I can shed some light on what it takes to succeed in this consultancy role. And finally, we want to build relationships between the two so they have a network and someone to go to. And what this will do is that it'll successfully transition the knowledge from retiring employees to people coming into your organization. Within the invite phase, we want to have FPI initiatives. So this is something you recently proposed so that all of your current employees now have this certification. We want to provide further initiatives and incentives for them to get this. We also want to differentiate our recruitment strategy to really get the top at Investors Group, and this will hire the best of the best. And finally, within the Invest, we want to assign an Investors Group committee that's going to really work on the transition of knowledge between current employees and the ones that are leaving. We want to have personal development steps and initiatives in place to really grow them so that they can stay within your organization. And career mapping, because we know that employees today really value a clear career map and how to jump from step to step and really progress within their careers. And this will retain the top talent within your organization in the long term. I'll now pass it on to Lucas to elaborate.
So that's the gist of our strategy. And what really comprises it are these 4 main components. I'll just go into quick detail before we dive into the implementation. So with the mentorship program, these 30% who are looking at retiring, this is around 300 employees, 300 consultants, very, very important. They have a lot of knowledge, and most importantly, they've got relationships with their clients that if they unsuccessfully transition, if they're just handed off to somebody who doesn't realize the importance and the personality of this client, may be lost in the long term. So we're going to create a mentorship program where we bond these employees who are looking at maybe exiting the company with incoming employees who look to fill their positions. We're looking down the line to see what can I achieve at Investors Group in the long term? What clients can I look to get? What opportunities are available for me, and where do I fit in? So that's what that's going for. This will work through career mapping and succession planning. So with our IG committee, Investors Group committee, which I'll get into a second, we're going to establish career maps and succession plans for these employees. Somebody's looking at exiting, they'll notify the committee, and this process will begin. They'll go through and they'll start the succession planning process. So the committee, working with local branches, will start to fit 1 or 2 individuals to fill this gap and start really mentoring those people into those positions so that none of this knowledge is lost and we get the successful knowledge transfer. And next, we're going to be looking on a personal development emphasis. So this is really important with the new workforce, as Irene was really getting into, is what do people look for when they're looking for a job? Somewhere where they can continue to learn, continue to grow, and constantly drive. And so you've started this with your financial planner initiative. We're looking to take it 1 step further and provide incentives and benefits to people who continue to educate themselves. Because not only is this important for your company, but the clients are changing. They expect your investors to know exactly what they want, exactly how to serve it, and everything that you offer that can do that. So that's how we intend to do this. So now to look at it at a glance, the quick implementation overview will be in the short term, which is 0 to 2 months. We're going to be looking at beginning our mentorship search and program, reaching out to schools to start some particular recruitment initiatives, and creating this Investors Group committee. In the medium term, we're going to be looking at hosting a speaker series to start transferring knowledge and building a community of trust and mentorship within your company for your new employees, and recruiting new employees, and then developing these employees through our new programs. In the long term, which is up to 12 months, we're going to be looking at evaluating and improving these systems that we've put in place, filling all the positions, and creating a system where we can continue to fill these positions. And finally, the succession plan, implementing it and really getting it going with the employees who are looking to retire. So in the short term, in the Inspire phase, what this is our mentorship program, our speaker series, and building relationships. And that's super important, tying back to the community that you've built within your company. So finding our mentors. This is going to be done by reaching out to the individual regional directors, finding who they think might be on their way out and who looks like they might want to start giving back within their company, finding somebody to train, finding somebody to mentor, and finding somebody to potentially fill their place. And we're going to evaluate these matchups on a few criteria, but primarily the interests of the people, what they've done in their career, so their history, as well as what they value most. And we'll actually survey these people for this information and match them with recruits who have similar interests and similar career ambitions so that they get a good relationship and you build a good bond between the mentor and the mentees. In the medium term, we're going to look at actually pairing the mentors, creating the relationships, and getting this going, as well as hosting the speaker series. So now some of your best and most successful and most dedicated investors. We're going to look at getting them together in one place and hosting a speaker series, maybe regionally, potentially in Montreal and some other regions that have a high concentration of investors group branches, and looking to have sharing of what's driven them to success, some of their favorite stories from their experience, and just kind of building a community around investors group for new employees coming in so they understand the culture, and that can transfer over time, as well as the knowledge that's so important. And finally, evaluating success. So looking at whether this mentorship program is working, doing quick surveys, interviews with the mentors and mentees to see if they're getting what they want out of it, if they're happy with their mentorship, and if they're seeing the success and growth in their own careers. And then in the next phase, we're going to be looking at reaching out to universities through recruitment and co-op, and establishing investors group as a place where you can go to get your financial planner designation. So when you graduate, if you're looking to get it, we'll fund you through it, and we'll bring you in and make you an investors group pro with our program and fund your program, which is something that you're doing. And finally, we're going to be looking at putting these people into the succession plan and pulling them through into those positions in the long term. In the next phase, we're going to be looking at investing their people. So this is important. The IG committee, the investors group committee, there's going to be one member who's the head of this committee and oversees all of this. So this is your development initiatives, as well as all of these transition and succession planning initiatives will be overseen by this committee. This committee member, this permanent employee, will reach out to regional directors in each place and get a representative, so you get a full representation across investors group across the country, and you get their opinions throughout. So we're going to hire the manager and then design the career map so we can start filling career roles for these employees who want to see what their progression will be. We'll create this map so it's very obvious to a recruit coming into the company. This way you can expect in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, if you stay at investors group. We find this sort of thing is something that young employees really love, and it really helps them stay at companies in the long term and reduce that turnover. Then we're going to be overseeing the mentorships and development with this committee, as well as moving our employees through these succession plans and getting them into those spots as they open up, as we'll get into in our key performance indicators of this implementation. So what is this all going to cost? Of course, we've decided to fund some certain initiatives, as well as host a speaker series, a mentorship program, and we've allocated cost of these things. The speaker series will cost around $30,000 because there will be travel costs, reimbursements associated with it to the people that we expect to come to this event. We're looking at getting around 100 to 150 employees to come to this event based on the size of your company and the amount of people who are looking for growth, so we allocated that cost. The mentorship program cost is giving funds to mentors so that they can go out, say, a Starbucks gift card to every mentor, so that they have not an obligation, but an incentive to go out and sit down with their mentee and build that relationship in an informal way, as well as a miscellaneous buffer of $10,000. The big cost here is this $250,000 financial planner initiative. Super important that we get people who are interested in getting their financial planner and creating a program to sponsor them through that so that they feel loyal to the company and they create a relationship with the company. We're also going to do event sponsorship. So working with the schools, as I mentioned, getting in an event like a case comp, whether it's a case comp or a financial hackathon or some other events that really get the top students, the most engaged students into those events, and we get our name up there. So you know, an accounting student, they look to do their CPA, they think I should go through a Big Four. We want to say, I'm getting my financial planner, I'm going to go to investors group because they're the #1, they're who I want on my resume. And then we're also going to do a town hall at the beginning, which John will get into to communicate all these messages. And finally, we're going to look at the education funding, $200,000 for an ongoing cost in order to fund any education that employees want so that they can continue to feel loyal to your company and develop and service your clients as best as possible, as well as the committee fees of around $60,000 overall, for a total budget of just under $600,000. So how are we going to communicate this?
So with change comes resistance. Unless, of course, it's properly communicated to your employees so that they understand what this will do, not only for them, but for their clients and for the organization as a whole. So we've proposed 3 things that we'd like to do to properly communicate this so that there are no issues. The first is looking at a town hall, and this is where we're going to invite all regional directors to a Quebec head office and really communicate the values, the importance of the proposed changes, and what those changes are. Next, we want to have documentation to ensure that in future growth strategies or in future initiatives moving forward, you can benchmark what it is that you did that worked in the past or learn from mistakes. And finally, with the IG community, they're going to be the primary focal point for employees and clients to really assess how it is that the knowledge can be transitioned and to come to them with any questions regarding development and retention within your organization. But moving on, there are still risks associated with this, and we've identified 3 primary ones that we'd love to discuss in the Q&A. But what's really important here is how we benchmark whether what we have proposed is working for your organization. And we want to achieve a yield ratio of 35%, and that's essentially having the number of hired people over the number of people you interviewed. We also want to have 80% of positions caused by the attrition filled within the next 3 weeks, because this is known knowledge from advance, so we want to have that filled right away so your company can continue to move on and provide for your clients, and 95% employee retention within the first year. Taking a step back, we came here today to propose an HR strategy for Investors Group that would not only attract but retain top talent. And to do this, we need to look at 3 primary considerations. The first being attrition, recruitment, and retention. And the strategy we proposed to you was focused not on what you do, but on why you do it. And that was for the community. So we proposed community investors, an investment in your people so they will invest in your company. A 3-pronged approach that focused on inspiring, inviting, and investing in the best. We thank you for your time and open the floor to any questions.
Well, we talked a lot about the sourcing young people. Where are you going to source the employees with more experience? Because we don't need to hire only students or graduated, we need to hire people with more experience to have that expertise on site.
Yeah, so through our recruitment initiatives, which are focusing on networking and referrals, we're going to be reaching out to employees at this town hall and saying that our referral program is going strong, and to fill these positions, which are becoming actually quite important to the company, the success of the company, please reach out to your network and see if anybody has connections that would be interested in becoming an Investors Group professional so that they can fill those positions. It's also important looking long-term to target the schools, which is why we focus so much on that. But for the short-term positions, referrals and networking are very important for those.
Can you elaborate on referrals? So how are you planning to get more and generate more in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So we know right now you have a great referral program that you're currently employing that appears to be working really well. What we want to do is really communicate how this can not only help the referrers, or those that are finding referrals, but also that can help the company and the organization as a whole, because we know that these people have an invested interest in your organization, and they too will eventually retire, but because they have been at your organization for such a long time, it's in their best interest to find somebody that could potentially succeed them, and that can work with the clients that they've established relationships over the year, so that is maintained because that is their primary focus, to keep the community in mind.
Do you have an idea on how we can motivate or get involved our consultant close to retirement to get involved in the mentorship program?
So I think that also ties into the relationship they've established with the clients over the years. So they've been at your organization for a long time and know what it takes to succeed, but they've also established a great relationship with clients and can consider them friends. So it's their interest to become a mentor and to work with somebody to come into their position and then take over that responsibility with their clients. So that alone, I think, is a very big incentive for them because they don't want to leave their friends hanging, essentially.
You suggest that we invest close to $600,000. What are my clear benefits? What's my ROI on this?
So with an investment in HR, it's difficult to calculate the exact ROI, but when we looked at the key issues pressing you, if you don't fill positions, you lose client relationships, you lose trust. And so if you take a long-term stance on this, if you don't take action now, you'll be unable to keep these client relationships, you'll be unable to fill these positions, and that impact will be much greater than any short-term investment of this money.
You said that it would be possible to hire the best of the best. What would be the main reason for these people to join Investors Group?
So with this enhanced recruitment process, with the networking, with getting the referrals in, you'll really enhance your brand perception and your brand image, really make it attractive for, let's say, the university students who are targeted like the example that Lucas mentioned, the accountants. Really getting in the example of accountants not only want a job at the Big Four, they want to work for investor groups. So really enhancing your brand perception to really help that, getting the top university students.
Can you expand on the different risks in implementing your strategy?
So the first one was that you were unable to entice the mentors, which was a question you brought up. And what we wanted to do was really emphasize the benefits that this would have on their clients. That was something we discussed. Also, perhaps there's a delay in finding a committee manager. What we wanted to do here, if it was really pressing, was to use a headhunter who you have likely worked with in the past and who's established within the industry. And lastly, your directors being unable to attend the Hound Hall, because we know that you guys are very busy and distributed across both Quebec and Canada. So what we wanted to do there to really ensure that this was properly communicated so that there was no resistance and that everyone was aligned on a common goal was provide remote conferencing and streaming so that everyone could be involved and that everyone could voice their opinions, concerns, questions so that we can come to a consensus and move forward as a community.
I just want to be sure that I understand. You're talking about using a headhunter to hire the company manager. So it means that the company manager is not an employee from Google, an actual employee of Google Investor, is someone from external?
Yeah, so basically this employee will be more of an HR professional, somebody who understands motivating people and connecting people, because they're going to be overseeing the mentorship programs, they're going to be overseeing personal development of your employees. They're not going to be a finance, they're not going to be an investors group consultant. They'll actually be a full-time employee just to oversee this committee and the success of these initiatives.
Thank you, Deborah.